Greetings everyone, I'm Celeste Zhilla and I will present LISA, Lingua Italiana dei Segni Accessibile, a progressive web app to support communication between deaf people and public administrations. This work is the result of my master's thesis in Digital Humanities at the University of Pisa, carried out in collaboration with the Institute of Information Science and Technology of the National Research Council of Pisa, in Italy. To contextualize the work, these aspects should be considered. According to the World Health Organization, approximately 466 million people worldwide suffer from disabling hearing loss, and approximately 95% of hearing-impaired deaf children are born to hearing-impaired parents. The WHO estimates that 900 million people will suffer from hearing loss in 2050. In particular, according to the Italian Association for Deafness Research, in Italy about 7 million people suffer from more or less severe hearing disorders. Most of them use the visual gestural channel to communicate through the Italian Sign Language. So, simple daily life interactions, such as an administrative or medical interview, may become significantly difficult for a deaf person who is forced to rely on the use of sign language to communicate. In recent years, the need for the public administration to be accessible and inclusive has become a priority. There is a growing need for tools to guarantee and facilitate the access to information and communication for deaf signer citizens, also in the cases where deaf signer citizens are not accompanied by a LIS interpreter. The PA does not provide LIS interpreters in its offices and facilities, the presence of the restriction due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In this work, we propose a communication tool to support deaf people in daily activities and in communication services. More specifically, we present the LISA prototype, which has been especially designed to be used in PA contexts. This tool allows communication between deaf citizens and PA operators by establishing a remote sign language interpreting service. Thanks to this tool, remote communication among the three subjects, the deaf citizen, the PA operator, and the sign language interpreter. The aim of this work is to provide a solution to facilitate the support of the LIS interpreter to the deaf person in everyday life scenarios through the remote communication of the interpreter. Facilitate written communication through a chat system suited for the needs of the signer person, and facilitate the above on the mobile and desktop devices. Interaction in a verbal world is a challenge the deaf person faces every day in a predominantly hearing society that often limits their personal contacts and activities. Investigation into ICT solutions for communication between deaf people and hearing people are on the rise to explore possible assistive tools. Some of the applications considered were the following. The video communication Elisir offers a video calling service to a video center where sign language interpreters can translate in real time from the LIS to the spoken language and vice versa. Elisir is a free service, but its main limitation is that it can only be activated via an application on a set of prefigured tablets located in Rome, at university and in the main hospital. So, only deaf users who live in Rome and visit specific location can access and benefit from this application. Global communication for the deaf is very similar to the Elisir app. It offers a limited service to deaf people living in Rome. Unlike the Elisir app, the user can install the CGS app on their mobile device. However, it has some critical issues. The user has no control since there is no navigation menu and some usability problem has been flagged by users. Another video interpreter service is Visit Live. This tool is not designed specifically for deaf users, and it offers video interpreting in 25 spoken languages, including LIS. For the identification of the functional and non-functional requirements of the LISA prototype, possible use scenarios were defined. For example, one of these scenarios describes the case where a deaf user goes to a municipal office with a question without being accompanied by a LIS interpreter and without having a mobile device on them. In this scenario, the operation to be carried out by the municipal clerk have been thought out. They will have to log in into the LIS application on the PA staff's device using their credential, request a sign language interpreter via the app, and as soon as the interpreter is available, the audiovisual connection will take place. Lisa is a multi-platform application developed as a progressive web app in order to have a single application that can be installed on both mobile and desktop platforms while maintaining a single version. This type of solution can be very useful and relevant for PA offices that usually do not use mobile devices, while the citizen or the sign language interpreter use their smartphones. This feature makes Lisa different from the tools we previously analyzed in our study. The main functions offered to the deaf user can be summarized as booking an appointment with a sign language interpreter, writing short SL messages to an interpreter, and making a video call with a previously booked interpreter or available upon request. A PA operator, as we see in the previous scenario, can call an interpreter when a deaf person arrives at the office without any assistance. The Lisa PYA is able to function independently of an operating system, browser, or device, and it automatically adapts to the graphical user interface of the device. So the user can install the Lisa PYA on the home screen of the device and access the app without using the browser. A minimalist template with simple elements, typography, and flat colors were used in order to promote readability and complete understanding of the information, while remaining visually appealing and accessible. The Lisa PYA allows the deaf citizen to make a remote video connection with a sign language interpreter, who translates in real-time sign language into verbal language and vice versa. In particular, the conversation between the deaf user and the PA employee. To this end, different roles are defined in the Lisa tools. The Lisa prototype offers a multi-role environment. The user can select the appropriate role when accessing the app: user, interpreter, and operator. After logging in, the user is redirected to his dashboard, which provides an overview of the available sections that allows the user to interact with the system and perform operations. For example, in the Find an Interpreter section, the user can get an overview of the interpreters registered in the system and select the desired interpreter. For example, an expert in a particular field or topic. For this reason, a filter by areas has been provided, which, based on the scope of selected appointment, retrieves interpreters with the corresponding area of expertise. Areas of expertise include legal, medical, educational, cultural, economic, technological, and tourism-related. Once an interpreter has been selected, the user can read their profile, write a message, or book an appointment with that interpreter. In summary, the deaf citizen can book an appointment with the selected and available sign language interpreter in order to receive a sign language translation for a particular topic on a certain day at a given time via a video conference meeting. In the development phase, the possible needs of the deaf user that could arise during the use of Lisa were considered. In addition to the video connection, in order to facilitate communication also on a more internal level, a section for the exchange of messages between the user and the interpreter was conceived. From the awareness of the difficulties encountered in writing texts in a language which deaf signers do not fully master, the Italian language, it was deemed necessary to consider different ways of conveying meaning in the chat room. In order to do this, we made use of augmentative and alternative communication methodology by proposing the graphic interchange format as a tool to share in the chat content representing sentences and words in LIS. This format was chosen because it has the ability to reproduce the visual gestural characteristics of LIS in an infinite to silent loop. By clicking on the GIF list button, the user is then shown GIFs in LIS that they can send and exchange with the other party to communicate. The structure of the Lisa PYA has the same three tiers of a web application, with the addition of two elements, the manifest and the service worker. Presentation tier is the user interface of the web application. The technologies used are HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, and Bootstrap, which are used for the various components of the interface. Logic tier is the application processing component. The main technology used is the PHP programming language. The data tier allows to manage and shape the information content of the app. To make Lisa Tool a progressive web app, the manifest and the service worker components are required. The manifest is a JSON file that describes to the browser the application structure and elements, and the tasks to carry out when the application will be installed on the home screen of the mobile device. The service worker is a JavaScript file performed by the browser in the background, which performs background synchronization and network request management operation via the cache. The first app prototype was evaluated by a group of people from the local div association. Evaluation tests focus on the function developed, like registration, interpreter booking for an appointment, and video calling. In particular, the people involved have appreciated the new AAC-based system proposed for short messaging, and it takes into account the needs of those who have difficulties with written text and therefore prefer the communication with sign language. So, even though the chat system offers simple words and phrases, the idea was assessed positively. In this work, we present a possible application that supports communication between the deaf citizen who uses sign language to communicate and the hearing person who uses natural language. The proposed solution aims to promote communication and inclusion of the deaf person in everyday life scenario through a remote sign language interpreting service, both instant and on-demand. Written communication through an assisted chat system accessible and usable by a community of people who use sign language. The context considered in this work is related to PAs, but the proposed application can be adapted to many other contexts where communication between deaf signers and hearing people is needed. The PA has been selected as a potential scenario because the local association for the deaf suggested this use of context. However, the application can also be used to enhance private and personal context. Future work will include further development of the gateway-based chat system for automatic translation between chats from written text to GIF English and vice versa, in order to make written communication between a deaf person and an auditory interlocutor more effective and satisfying. This can be implemented for simple text, but could be also interesting for more complex communication. Another possible improvement could affect the booking functionality. The deaf user could book an appointment with both the PA operator and the sign language interpreter, and possibly carry out the video conference remotely, as suggested by some users during the evaluation. Thank you for your attention.